Here's Jiangsu Province, one of China's key regions, ranking among the top in economic development, agricultural and industrial output, and overall living standards. The territory of Jiangsu, covering 39,600 square miles, has long been a part of China, and its administrative center, Nanjing, has even served as the country's capital multiple times throughout history. As for the population, in 2020, around 85 million people lived in the province. That's a lot. And for some of them, a massive pool like this was built. Impressive, isn't it? Its 600-foot-high walls hold an enormous amount of water, 4.5 billion gallons. But this mountaintop pool isn't the only one. There's another one positioned a bit lower. Both of these reservoirs will benefit the province as long as they stay full, and to keep it that way for as long as possible, China won't let all those hundreds of thousands of gallons just flow away. So what has China built this time? And why is this project a win for millions of people? Let's figure it out. To understand why China needed these artificial reservoirs, we need to take a closer look at where they were built. Jiangsu Province. As of 2022, Jiangsu's gross domestic product reached 12.29 trillion yuan, or $1.83 trillion. That, by the way, is the second largest in China, right after Guangdong. In fact, Jiangsu's GDP surpasses that of Australia and South Korea, which rank as the world's 12th and 13th largest economies, respectively. In short, it's an incredibly developed region. No wonder Jiangsu is the richest province in China. In 2022, for instance, its nominal GDP per capita reached $21,467. This made Jiangsu the first province in China to cross the $20,000 mark. But that's not all. Cities like Nanjing, Suzhou, and Wuxi have a per capita GDP nearly twice the provincial average, making southern Jiangsu one of the most prosperous regions in China. Naturally, when a region has a ton of money, industry and agriculture thrive. Jiangsu, for instance, has an extensive irrigation system that supports crops like rice, wheat, and corn. For export, the province grows cotton, soybeans, peanuts, sesame, and tea, basically a whole lot of stuff. Oh, and we almost forgot about silk. That's another key part of Jiangsu's agriculture, with the Lake Tai region in the south serving as China's main silk production hub. When it comes to industry, Jiangsu has coal, oil, and natural gas deposits, but its most important resources are non-metal minerals like halite, sulfur, phosphorus, and marble. Keep that in mind. We'll come back to it later. Long story short, now you get why Jiangsu is such a wealthy place. Industry and agriculture bring in huge amounts of money, and that money, in turn, fuels the growth of these very sectors. It all works like a charm. But as you can imagine, everything we just mentioned requires an enormous amount of electricity. A significant portion of it comes to Jiangsu from other provinces, including via the ultra-high voltage DC transmission line from the Baihatan Power Station. You've probably heard of it, but if not, here's a quick rundown. The Baihatan Power Station is a massive dam-based power plant with an installed capacity of 16,000 megawatts. This hydro complex creates a reservoir with a volume of 727 billion cubic feet, and its spillways have a total discharge capacity of 1.5 million cubic feet per second. Naturally, a giant like this generates a huge amount of energy. Its average annual electricity production is estimated at 60.24 billion kilowatt hours. But remember what we said about Jiangsu's industry. There's plenty of coal, oil, and gas there, and none of that qualifies as green energy the way Baihatan Power Station does. The province also has wind farms, like the Rudong Wind Farm with an installed capacity of 150 megawatts. It went into operation in November 2012 and has been generating around 375 million kilowatt hours of electricity per year ever since. It's claimed that this wind farm reduces CO2 emissions by 247,000 tons, but coal and oil aren't going anywhere, and it looks like they, along with other factors, could quite literally sink Jiangsu. Due to its flat terrain, low elevation, and high population density, Jiangsu is one of the most vulnerable regions in China to climate change and rising sea levels. According to data collected by Jiangsu's Climate Change Center from 1961 to 2007, the province has seen an average temperature increase of 0.3 to 0.8 degrees Fahrenheit every decade. On top of that, rainfall's been increasing, making extreme weather events more intense and more frequent. If you put all these factors together, it's clear that agriculture, water resources, transportation, and the coastline of Jiangsu are all facing negative impacts. And to address this situation, those very reservoirs on the mountain were built. As you've probably guessed, we're talking about a pumped storage hydropower station, or simply a PSH. This project's brand new, and chances are many people haven't even heard of it yet. Well, we're about to change that because the Zhurong Pumped Storage Power Station is literally called the new marvel of engineering. China's National Development and Reform Commission approved the pumped storage hydropower station project back in June 2016. Preparatory work began in December 2016, while the actual construction didn't start until April 2018. The result of years of planning is this: a hydropower station with two reservoirs. The main dam of the upper reservoir, located on the mountain, has a crest length of 2,650 feet, and at normal water levels, its total capacity will exceed 4.5 billion gallons. The lower reservoir is situated on Lunshan Lake and is slightly larger. Its volume is estimated at 5.2 billion gallons. The pumped storage hydropower station operates on a simple principle. It uses the difference in elevation between the upper and lower reservoirs. During periods of low electricity demand, water's pumped from the lower reservoir to the upper one, converting it into energy for storage. During peak demand periods, the water's released, activating turbines that generate electricity. This way, the station feeds power into the grid. Judging by the design of the Zhurong Pumped Storage Power Station, it's clear that a lot of energy will be generated. The system's equipped with 6 single-stage vertical pump turbine units with mixed flow, each rated at 225 megawatts by Harbin Electric Group. This will provide a total nominal output capacity of 1,350 megawatts. The design also includes an underground power station, a water supply system, and a surface switching station. Yes, the whole system wasn't cheap. It cost about 9.6 billion yuan, or $1.3 billion. However, its benefits justify the price. In March 2025, the 4th unit of the Zhurong Pumped Storage Power Station started operating, and the remaining 2 units will be launched by the end of this year. Once that happens, the Zhurong station will pump an enormous amount of water annually, ultimately producing 1.35 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity that can be fed into the grid. As a result, the annual electricity needs of about 360,000 households will be met. Additionally, CO2 and sulfur dioxide emissions will be reduced by approximately 357,000 tons per year, and coal consumption will decrease by 134,000 tons per year. Let's see if this will actually help the Jiangsu province reduce its reliance on fossil fuels. But it seems like the companies managing the pumped storage power station are serious about it. As you can imagine, the generated energy can't just be used without proper infrastructure. That's why, specifically for the Zhurong Pumped Storage Power Station, 13 miles of power lines were laid and 53 iron towers were built. The first unit of the pumped storage hydropower station is supposed to connect to the national grid through this line. It's claimed that this additional line will improve power supply security and contribute to the low-carbon transformation of energy in the Yangtze River Delta region. Sounds promising. But those are just technical details. What about the construction process? One can say it was far from easy. More than half of the power lines for the project's supporting network were built in the mountains of Nanjing and Zhenjiang. Also, efforts had to be made to avoid damage to the mountain vegetation, and of course a plan was developed for this. To protect local plants, advanced construction equipment such as visual tension devices and digital cable processing tools were used. All of this ensured minimal damage to the mountain flora. As for the builders themselves, they had to constantly work in shifting geological conditions, such as karst sinkholes, faults, and easily crumbling diorite, a type of rock. But the Chinese, as always, handled it. Did anyone really think it'd be any different? Thanks to the introduction of advanced detection technologies like borehole TV imaging and seismic CT scanning, underground hazards were precisely located and eliminated. At the same time, various support measures such as pre-stressed anchor cables and anchor rods helped create a strong protective grid inside the mountain, ensuring the stability and safety of the underground PSH facility. Another impressive aspect of this project was the extremely efficient use of resources. Nearly all the materials for constructing the upper reservoir came from an excavation site on the shore. Thanks to meticulous management, a high excavation utilization rate of up to 99% was achieved. This not only helped cut costs, but also protected the environment. Now it's time to take a closer look at the benefits of having an additional energy source. Check this out. The new PSH is located 40 miles from Nanjing and 22 miles from the county-level city of Zhenjiang. These are high energy demand areas, so easing the load on the main grid with the pump storage station and the new transmission line will be extremely useful. Let's take a closer look at Nanjing, the capital of Jiangsu. As of 2021, the city had a population of 9,423,400. That's a lot of people. And all of them are engaged in activities that, in one way or another, require energy. Take agriculture, for example. Nanjing is one of China's key grain hubs. Crops grown here for export include rice, cotton, silkworms, tea, bamboo, fruits, medicinal plants, and much more. As you can imagine, all of this needs water. In that sense, Nanjing is lucky as the water quality in the Yangtze River is quite good. But that alone isn't enough. Irrigation systems, pumps, and other equipment are needed. In short, there's no way to manage it all without electricity. Electricity is also essential for forestry, livestock farming, and fishing, which are all well developed in Nanjing. And let's be honest, these industries bring in serious money. In 2019 alone, their total output value reached $6.5 billion, marking a 4.8% increase from the previous year. So as you can see, there's no such thing as too much energy, especially since China already has a successful example of a PSH plant that helps sustain the nation's capital, Beijing, in terms of energy supply. We're talking about the Fengning Pumped Storage Power Station. Construction began back in June 2013, but the first generator was not commissioned until 2019. It's a complex structure that, according to various estimates, cost China anywhere from $1.87 billion to $2.6 billion. That's a massive investment in an energy project. But was it worth it? Oh, absolutely. First off, it's worth mentioning that the Fengning Hydroelectric Power Plant became the largest pumped storage power station in the world with an installed capacity of 3.6 gigawatts. Its total length reaches 1,350 feet, and its height stands at 179 feet. But don't forget, structures like this also have underground sections. The total length of the tunnels and 190 caverns within Fengning Hydroelectric Power Plant is a staggering 31 miles. As for the reservoirs, they turned out massive as well. The lower reservoir can hold up to 17 billion gallons of water, with 11 billion gallons available for power generation. The upper reservoir has a capacity of 13 billion gallons, of which 11 billion cubic feet can be used to generate electricity. This giant system is designed to consume 8.71 terawatt-hours of electricity for pumping and then generate 6.61 terawatt-hours per year. What to do with such an enormous amount of energy? Well, originally, the PSH, located in the Hebei province, was designed to support the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. The engineers and construction teams were successful. Fengning didn't just assist with the Olympics, it also surpassed the Bath County project in the U.S., which was once the largest facility of its kind before the Chinese PSH was built. And so after the event was over, the Fengning PSH remained a guardian of energy stability for northern China, particularly Beijing and its surrounding areas. The capital alone is home to around 22 million people, and when considering the Hebei province, which surrounds Beijing, the population rises to about 75 million. All these millions of people need power. Where does it come from? As unfortunate as it sounds, the bulk of it still comes from burning coal. This process accounts for about 40% of energy production in Beijing and is also the primary source of nitrogen and sulfur dioxide emissions. Yes, since 2012, the city's been transitioning coal-fired power plants to natural gas and working to limit annual coal consumption, but an enormous amount of fossil fuel is still being used for human needs. For example, in 2011, Beijing burned 26.3 million tons of coal, with 73% of it used for heating and electricity generation, while the rest was consumed by industry. The neighboring Hebei province burned over 300 million tons of coal in the same year. To put this into perspective, 300 million tons of coal is more than the entire coal consumption of Germany. In fact, the provinces of Shandong, Shanxi, Hebei, and Inner Mongolia rank first through fourth in coal consumption among Chinese provinces. As for Beijing, it had 4 major coal-fired power plants that provided electricity and heating during the winter for its millions of residents. But it seems that the situation with coal is improving. One thermal power plant was closed in 2014, 2 more were shut down in March 2015. The last thermal power plant was closed in 2016. You see where this is going? China recognizes the problem and is striving to use fossil fuels as little as possible. Moreover, Beijing has a long history of environmental issues. Between 2000 and 2009, the city's area increased fourfold, which not only significantly boosted anthropogenic emissions, but also drastically altered the meteorological situation. For example, wind speed and surface humidity decreased, while ground and surface temperatures increased. Due to urbanization and pollution from burning fossil fuels, Beijing often faces serious issues that lead to worsening health for many of its residents. In 2013, a severe smog hit Beijing and much of northern China, affecting a total of 600 million people. After this event, air pollution became a significant economic and social issue in China. The Beijing government announced measures to reduce air pollution, such as cutting coal's share in the energy mix from 24% in 2012 to 10% in 2017. During the same period, the national government ordered the removal of heavily polluting vehicles between 2015 and 2017 and intensified efforts to shift the energy system to clean sources. Now you see why pumped storage hydroelectric power plants are important for China and particularly for Beijing? Now let's go back to the Fengning hydroelectric station. Its launch will not only help get rid of coal, but also balance the use of solar and wind power generators. According to Global Energy Monitor, Hebei Province ranks third in China for installed wind farm capacity at 27.3 gigawatts and seventh for installed solar panel capacity at 21.1 gigawatts. The peak of solar generation occurs in the middle of the day, precisely when electricity from the grid can be used to pump water from the lower to the upper reservoir of the pumped storage hydroelectric power station. As for wind turbines, their usage is seasonal, but the hydroelectric station is designed to fill the gaps in energy generation. In general, you understand that China is actively entering the era of green energy. Moreover, China continues to lead the world in the development of new hydroelectric power. In 2023 alone, the country commissioned 6.7 gigawatts of new capacity, including more than 6.2 gigawatts of pumped storage hydropower. With the commissioning of the Fengning and Zhirong stations, the country will only expand its pumped storage capacity and move closer to its ambitious goal to reach a total hydroelectric power capacity of 120 gigawatts by 2030. All that's left is to wish the country good luck.